Ladies and gentlemen, it seems we have a problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, how's everyone? Welcome to the TopSpeed.com podcast. TopSpeed.com is your automotive home on the internet for all the crazy, cool, and amazing things you could ever want to see. My name is Christian Moe. I'm joined today by our editor-in-chief, Justin Coupler. Justin, please say hello.
Hello, everybody. And how are you today, Mr. Moe?
I'm great now that you're just like, hello, everyone.
Hello.
I just had this image in my head of like a teacher be like, class, meet your new teacher, Mr. Smith, and the whole class just goes, hi, Mr. Smith.
You said say hello, so...
It sounded like the most scripted thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But,
Didn't it, though?
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can
Hello.
tell, that wonderful, smooth, thick voice there, we have Mr. Mark McNabb joining us again. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing today?
This is Mr. Mark McNabb on Radio McNabb.
Cool, 107.3 FM.
You could totally pull off like a late night DJ.
Maybe I did in the past life. I don't know.
There you go. And now back to our nonstop hour of Marvin Gaye.
Anyway, back to cars.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, happy Thursday, everyone. I'm so happy you're joining us for this utter nonsense that we're calling a car show.
You know, it's bad news about our whole podcast that the first 3 minutes are completely filled with crap and nothing about cars.
I know. I don't know if anyone will ever make it past 3 minutes. You're like, I thought this was about cars. Turn that off. But you know what? Whatever. As long as they click the first time, we get credit for that, right? That counts.
Probably
Yeah. Well, hit that play button. That's all matters.
Yeah, just put Marvin Gaye in the tags and make sure that we get some Marvin Gaye listeners in here too.
Let's get it on.
I swear, Christian, if you play that on the outro, I quit.
I'd love to play that on the outro, partially because it would be hilarious, and two, because I want to call you on your bluff for quitting. But I won't, because then I've got to deal with, rights and legality and all that jazz.
Now, when you sing "Let's Get It On," does that qualify for needing royalties?
No,
No,
because that is your rendition of it. You are not using the exact copyrighted material. Depending on what you were using it for, there's... You know what? We're not going to talk about legal crap. What are you doing?
Yes. So anyway,
ADD. Back on track.
Also, everyone, as you can probably tell if you're paying attention to the site, last week we had our first video podcast. This week we're doing another video podcast, so I'm going to wave, and then Mark's going to talk, and he's going to wave. Hi, Mark.
I'm thumbs upping right now because I'm cool.
Okay, Justin, you say something and wave.
Hi, everybody. Hey, my screen didn't come up.
Uh-oh, womp womp. But yeah, because when we talk, it's supposed to switch to us and be like, you can see us now.
So anyway, Justin, we hear that you are driving something very interesting this week, the Outlander. Is that correct?
Yeah, interesting is a polite way to put it, to say the least.
Wait, I have a question. Was this the Outlander or the Outlander Sport?
The Outlander. Oh God, I wish it was a sport. Let's start. I'll start with the bad because that's the first thing you see when you walk up to the car. My God, is it ugly? The grill looks like it was hijacked straight out of the Tron movie. The weird little lines down the side of it and all that weirdness, and really nowhere for the air to really flow. And then the headlights kind of look like they hijacked them straight off maybe an Evoque or something like that. And the rest of it is just blah. I mean, it really is. I can't really put it any other way. But when I got inside the Outlander, this was the SE model with all the goodies, the touring package and everything. It was really well laid out. Leather seating, granted, wasn't the most comfortable leather seating, but it was leather. A nice navigation system. And what was really awesome in this thing was the stereo system. Because a lot of these Japanese cars, and actually all foreign cars, have these kind of crappy stereo systems. Mitsubishi really went above and beyond, putting a very nice sound system that had a big Rockford Fosgate subwoofer in the back, Now, I'm not a big thumper anymore. I don't pound on a subwoofer anymore, but it was nice to have every now and again. Crank up the tunes and get a little bit of vibration going through your seat and everything. It's actually really cool. On the engine side, this one had the CVT and the 2.4 liter, so it was very, very underpowered. And this CVT, unlike the Mitsubishi Lancer, it did drone on and on and on.
So, okay, a few things stuck out in my mind. First, I can't believe you don't like the looks of it. If anyone came up to me and said, so we're going to take pieces of the best-looking Range Rover in 100 years and mix it with stuff that looks like Tron, I would just be like, yes, I want 5, thank you.
But here's the issue. When Kmart sells it, then it's bad.
Out.
Well, okay, let's cut Mitsu a little bit of slack. They're running on a pretty thin budget, but when I saw it, it's unconventional, yes, but I don't know if I would call it ugly. I dig how it's really unique and really different and kind of interesting, and I like that about it. As for your I don't thump anymore, like, what, did you used to, like, roll around in an old Impala thumping Marky Mark or something?
He was part of the Funky Bunch.
I plead the fifth.
All right. Okay, well, let's continue with our weekly wheels.
I graduated in the late 1990s, and that was the cool thing to do back then.
Just because it's cool
Now
doesn't mean you have to.
Now you've grown up, you're an old man, and now music is too loud for you, right?
Exactly. Now I hear one of those cars next to you, doom, doom, doom. I'm like, God, turn that crap down. Do I have to hear your music? The same stuff everybody else said back in 1999 to me.
Yeah. Actually, sometimes I'm really glad I don't have neighbors because I'm a huge music guy, and my closest neighbor is a quarter mile away, and sometimes I think they might still be able to hear me.
All
right.
right, Tennessee.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and continue. Mr. Mark, you got to spend some time in a Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, it's a. I was really impressed with this car. I gotta say it. Hyundai has been doing some really good products lately, and this I think is definitely in that line. It's just like the regular Hyundai Sonata, except obviously it has the hybrid powertrain. Comes with a 2.4 liter inline 4 and all the extra battery stuff. Combined, the thing gets 38 mpg combined, and then on the highway it gets 40. So I mean, it's a pretty good little car. Well, little it's not. It does have a lot of good room. Also, starting price is like $35,000. So I mean, it's a fairly good deal. Fit and finish on par for Hyundai, which is really good nowadays. The leather felt pretty close to like BMW standards. All of the little wood grains and stuff in the dash. Couldn't really complain about it. All the switchgear felt good, soft touch materials. I especially like the gauges with the round chrome rings and then the little infotainment center in the center of it. So really no complaints except it was just kind of doggishly slow. But I mean that's kind of what you expect from a hybrid.
Yeah. I got to spend. I spent a little bit of time with that same machine, and one thing that I like about it, and to me is like the hallmark of a good hybrid, is when you can't tell when it's going from engine power to battery power. Like if that transition is so smooth, you can't tell, and that's one thing that car pulls off really well.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I remember having the radio off, the air conditioner off, and the car completely silent, and trying to hear the difference. And except for the light on the dash, you couldn't do it. It was really impressive.
All right. Well, today I was going to be talking about the Nissan GTR, but I have decided to change things up for a couple reasons. One is I drove something yesterday that I haven't driven in many years, and it made me very happy, and that's what I want to talk about. But two, I know a lot of you fans on the site really, really, really like the GTR. So your job, as you've been doing in the comments with questions and comments and stuff, is anything you want to know about the GTR, put it in there, and I'll make sure to cover it on next week's show, and I'll do the GTR then. But what I got to drive is a 1984 Porsche 944. It belongs to me and my wife, and we have owned it for many years. But unfortunately, in 2012, it developed a bit of an issue with the engine, and it's been sitting. And so I haven't driven it in over 2 years. And yesterday we got it out, we got it running, and it's amazing. I was worried about the car because it died right before I started really getting into press cars and doing lots of trips and getting to drive this really cool metal that we've been talking about on the show. And I was worried the car wouldn't hold up to my new standards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
Right. It's like before the car used to be great because it was like one of the best things I'd ever driven. But now that I've spent time in Porsches and GTRs and like all this stuff, I was worried that it was going to feel terrible. Like even compared to my Golf, I've got tons of torque in the Golf. It's really well built. I'm just like this. I was worried it was going to be terrible. And it has some issues. I need to get the steering rack tightened up, and the tires are way out of balance for sitting for 2 years, and it's a little loud and obnoxious. But for driving it, had surprising amount of power still, even though it just has a 4-cylinder in it. It's a big one. It's 2.5. But surprising amount of power. Shifting still felt good. The car still drove well. I was just utterly blown away by how good the car still was. It's 20 years old or 30 years old. Yeah, 30 years old. It's 30 years old this year. I mean, it's older than me. It's definitely holding up better than I am.
You've been sitting around for 2 years, Christian?
Something, I swear. But yeah, so I was just really, really excited about that it wasn't terrible. It didn't suck. I was like, yay!
So what exactly did you have to do to get this bad boy back up and running?
Surprisingly, not a lot. It had a bad lifter, which was the main. I mean, it's got lots of other issues. The main seal is bad, which is why it won't hold oil pressure. It's got a leaky power steering pump. I need to do some suspension work on it. It needs new bushings in the shifter. But the thing that was keeping us from driving it was it had a bad lifter. So the lifter tick on it was so loud that it essentially sounded like there was a small person living in the hood with a machine gun and just going da 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 da.
Ouch.
Yeah. That could be actually pretty interesting to drive in some places.
Yeah, maybe. But, the tick was loud enough that if it was started in the driveway, I could hear the tick in the house over the sound of the exhaust. Wow. So, we had a stuck lifter, but they're hydraulic lifters. So we flushed it out with some automatic transmission fluid mixed with oil. You do a flush of that for about 10 or 15 minutes because ATF has a lot of detergents in it. Then we drained all the oil and ATF out, put a new filter on, put a new oil filter on it, put fresh oil in it. We used a really heavyweight oil to boost up the oil pressure, and basically the boosted oil pressure after the detergents helps to break loose the seized lifter, and now it works fine. Drove it around several hours yesterday, and the wife took it to work today, 50 miles, one direction she took it. Not a single problem.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's really awesome after a car sitting that long. I know when I was overseas for 2 years, my poor Mazda sat, and even that being in 2004, it came back to me with some pretty serious issues like a completely tattered top and blown out ignition coils, all kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that car has been mostly bulletproof. I can't explain it. We bought it with what was supposed to be about 100,000 miles on it. After we got it, we drove it around a bit and doing some research, I figured it's probably closer to 200,000 when we bought it, and we've put probably 50 on it ourselves. I've driven it. We took it 800 miles down to Daytona Beach. We've driven it up to Chicago. We've driven it to Wisconsin. I've just taken the car everywhere. We've beat the living crap out of it, and we've done almost nothing to it. It's been just the most reliable thing. It actually has been literally the most reliable thing I have ever owned.
A 30-year-old car has been the most reliable thing you've ever owned?
A 30-year-old Porsche.
Well, I mean, those cars back then.
I think there's something wrong with all the other products that you're owning here, Christian. There's something wrong with that.
Yeah, that's observation number one. But number two, I mean, those old Porsches, the old '80s Porsches, were indestructible. They were bulletproof.
I mean, it really does just blow my mind. Like, the only real issue we had out of it was the headlight motor died. And when the headlight motor died, I locked the headlights in the up position, but it was still draining electricity, and I didn't realize it because I didn't disconnect the wires from the headlight pump or from the headlight motor rather. So we were draining the battery. So every other day it would need a jump start. We couldn't figure out why, and that was it. Like that's the only time it's ever left us like stranded until the lifter issue, was that the battery was going dead because because the headlight motor died. Like that was it.
Interesting.
Not bad at all.
All right. Well, let's stop talking about.
Christian.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Let's stop talking about my old metal that's in the driveway. Let's move on to some news. We're going to start with a piece that I just did because I have a nice little update for it. So we posted a video of the Golf GTI. They're calling it a Club Sport. It looks like a lightened, hearted up version of a GTI. It's got a huge spoiler on the back. There's a roll cage in it. It looks a little bit lower. When we first did the Spy Shots piece, the Spy Shot company's like, this is a golf club sport. This is what it's going to be. And then we got the video. And watching the video and looking at the photos, I wasn't entirely sure about it. There's a company in Germany that makes racing parts, suspension, roll cages, seats, harnesses, called Wikers. And they have a huge logo on the side of this car. And my first thought was, if Volkswagen is running a test mule, they're not going to slap huge... Whoa. What do we have going on there? Did we just lose Justin?
No,
Nope,
I'm here.
I'm here.
Oh, I'm getting like myself in feedback. That was really weird.
Yes, yeah, I heard it for a second there too.
So, listeners, the internet's terrible, and we apologize. So, anyways, yeah, huge logo on the side of this car, and I thought the Volkswagen's not going to slap somebody else's logo on the side of a test car. That's just not something they're going to do. So I put an email to Wikers, and I'm like, hey, guys, what's up with this car? Is this your car? Is this your test mule? Like, what's going on with this? And their response to me was, this is not our car. They did say, like, that was their line. Like, we made the roll cage that is in that car. That is not our test vehicle, and they left it at that. They wouldn't give me any more info. So that actually lends a lot of credence to the fact that this is a Volkswagen test mule. They just happen to be putting decals for other companies on the side of it for some reason.
Yeah, what it seems like is, one of the guys in the shop that's helping build this car in the factory said, hey, cool, they sent a sticker along with the part and slapped it on the side of it. These guys do weird things like that. So just could have been some young kid who happens to be helping build the car and said, let's slap the sticker on the side. That'll be cool.
Well, I mean, it lends itself as good camouflage, too. I mean, because obviously you had to do some research to figure out what was going on with it. No one's ever going to think, oh, well, that's a Volkswagen test mule. Oh, it's some kid out here with a race car, and, he's got his 15 extra horsepower sticker on the side, and it's good to go.
Right. Well, so Fourth Thesis is coming. It's this huge like GTI convention thing that they do every year. And what I thought was, this isn't a Volkswagen car. This is just a Wikers car. And because the Mark 7 just came out, so they're testing the Mark 7 roll cage and a Mark 7 suspension bits and stuff, and they're going to demo that stuff at the show. That's what I thought. But that's not what's happening at all. This looks like it might be a real Volkswagen car. So how cool would a lightened Club Sport GTI actually be? Like, that's exciting.
Oh, that's beyond cool.
That would be pretty cool, yeah. I'm not going to lie.
But then comes the big question, is it coming to America?
Yeah. That's a bit iffy. But the GTI sells well here. So there's a chance they might bring it. I think what worries me about this is with that Golf R wagon that I want so badly, I don't think VW would bring both of them. They would bring one or the other. Like, we would get the Golf R wagon, or we would get like a GTI Club Sport, but we would not get both.
If you had to choose, which one would you go with, though?
Golf R wagon.
Wagon, yeah. 100%.
300 horsepower all-wheel drive wagon.
I think I would agree with that. Yeah, that's pretty swanky.
That was a silly question, Mark.
Well, I just wanted to clarify for the listeners, of course.
And for once, let's mark this date down. For once, we all agreed on something at the same time.
Blasphemy! I'm ending the podcast now.
It's got too much horsepower.
Okay, shut up. All right. So we've got. Let's go ahead and let's move on a bit from that. Mark, you just did a cool piece that I really enjoyed reading. Was this your idea, or did someone else come up with this for the pickup truck?
It was someone else's, but I took it and ran. I'm not quite sure where it came from, but we decided to do a piece on the best truck for under $30,000, and we just kind of capped it at that because we can do a decent build have some decent equipment on it, and still come out with some change in our pockets for equipping the truck however you want to. So with the 5 trucks that I chose, I did the Ram 1500, the Chevy 1500, the Ford F-150, the new Colorado that's coming out, and then of course the winner, which is the Toyota Tacoma. So it was actually pretty hard to get these trucks under that $30,000 mark, especially the Silverado, because you could only get it in like 1 or 2 trim levels and basically bare bones unless you stick with like a single cab truck. That's kind of sad, but on the other hand, that the winner, obviously the Tacoma, you could pretty much get it in top level range and still stay under that $30,000 mark. So that speaks pretty highly for Toyota. And then again, the Colorado that's coming out, we don't know the pricing of it yet, but it's got to compete with that Tacoma. So we're thinking it's going to be like $20,000 to $30,000 starting out. So you'd be able to equip it pretty nicely and still have the 4 doors, lots of room for your family, everything like that, and still have the truck capability, the 4-wheel drive, bed, tow capacity, and all that sort of stuff. So, it was a really fun article to write, I would say.
Yeah, and when I got that one on my desk and edited it, I was amazed at the process you went through to find all of this. So first of all, kudos to you. That was an outstanding piece of work.
Well, thank you.
But it was amazing seeing what you could do with these trucks. How you could dig down the trim levels and say, okay, if you want this kind of truck, like especially with the Ford F-150, you said, hey, if you want this kind of truck, do this. But if you want this kind, you can add these options and still stay under $30K, which is really cool. I was actually pretty surprised that the Tacoma won. I really didn't expect that. So you definitely did your research after reading the piece and seeing why you picked it. It makes perfect sense. It was just very unexpected whenever I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, basically the only reason the Tacoma wins is because it is such a good truck that has the best amount of options you can get for the $30,000 budget. Yeah, there's a whole lot of other trucks out there that are better to do whatever you want, but they're going to cost you like $45,000, $50,000. The Silverado, the new F-150, all that sort of stuff, they're expensive. But this truck, it's pretty cheap.
What I'm curious about is when the Colorado finally does come out and we get all the information on it, does it jump above the Tacoma? Because from what I'm reading so far, it looks like it's going to be an awesome mid-sized truck.
I was just about to bring that up, and I can tell you right now, for my money, 110%, the Colorado Canyon Twins are going to be the winner in my book, simply for V6 diesel. I would love to have a truck with some power to tow my horses around, that gets decent mileage. But I can't afford to spend tons of money on one of these big diesel trucks for something that I'm not going to use very often.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
If I can get a smaller truck like a Canyon, or with that V6 diesel, like that's going to be really, really awesome, because that price will be down at a target where I could actually afford it. And I don't need a huge truck because I'm not hauling big, massive trailers. I don't have a big gooseneck or anything. But I need slightly more than I might get out of a standard 1500 pickup truck.
Yeah, and the good thing about this, I mean, I would guess that you're looking at probably a 7,000-pound towing capacity with the and it's a 2.8-liter Duramax inline-4 turbo diesel. That's going to be
the V6 in the Ram. The Ram's getting the V6.
The 3-liter Eco Diesel in the Ram. Yeah, but this one's going to have the inline-4. It's going to be a sweet engine because it's similar to the ones that's already in Europe, and I mean they're getting some pretty good power out of that. I think 350, 400 foot-pounds of torque. That's going to be very sufficient for hauling your ponies around.
Right. Well,
and you're getting pretty good mileage with that too.
Right. Like I would say you should easily be able to get that truck. Like if you're not driving it really terribly, like 35 miles to the gallon seems like a pretty doable thing out of an engine.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe.
Right, so 7,000-pound tow rating and 35 miles to the gallon, and you have a truck. Like that's just win with a little bit of win and a side of awesome win.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the reason the mid-sized truck line died out is because manufacturers were scared to put money into them because they knew that if they did, then they would get really hot and then they would outperform the F-150 and the 1500s, and people wouldn't buy those because they were just too much money. With these, I love them, and I think Chevy's doing a great job bringing it back, and I think Dodge and Ford have a kind of a long road ahead trying to catch up, but it's.
Well, all Ford needs to do is bring us the new Ranger that's been running around Europe, because that's a pretty sweet little truck.
Isn't that beautiful? Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
And the Volkswagen R-Mark or whatever it's
R-Mark.
called. That's the coolest thing ever. But yeah.
Yeah, like if I could get the VW pickup truck with the diesel, like that would be everything I like in cars. Just like in one vehicle.
You'd be in heaven.
I'd be kind of close. Because I hate having to choose between vehicles. That's why I got my diesel Golf, is because I have to have something with decent gas mileage. I live too far away from town to not have something that gets great gas mileage, but I want something that's kind of fun to drive, so I got the Golf. But I hate not being able to do anything. I have a 65 Ford pickup truck in my yard just simply so I can haul things like trash and hay, because I can't put those in the Golf. So if I could get a pickup truck version of my diesel Golf, that's all I need.
You just suddenly gave me this image of you tossing hay bales in the back of your Golf.
Yeah. Christian, I do have to say, though, the one time that I have seen your Golf in person, I do remember there being quite a bit of hay in the back. So I think that you do haul hay in your Golf.
We have before, and at that time, my wife was a zookeeper for the elephants at the local zoo. So yeah, there was always hay and dirt and stuff inside of that car. But
that's a pretty eclectic job. That's impressive.
I've hauled hay in the Porsche before.
Just as long as you're not doing that in like a 911 press car.
No. In my 944, because it's got the big hatchback.
Yeah.
So I just lifted the hatch up and put hay in it.
Yeah, that works.
All right. We shall continue with the news. All right. So, Justin, you've got a piece here, right? I believe you want to talk to us about the new 2015, is it Challenger or Charger?
Actually, both. But the big one we need to talk about is the Charger. The Challenger is coming as well. It's going to be revised from my understanding, but it's not going to be as heavy as the Charger's revisions. It's actually really big news because the Charger's kind of stayed its same design for a rather long time. They had that light refresh a few years back, but it was nothing overwhelming. They hardened up the lines a little bit, brought the grille out a tiny bit. But overall, it's maintained pretty much the same look. From the teaser image they showed us, it's going to be a complete change. The grille, it's going to have the crosshair grille, but the headlight's going to come out and meet the grille instead of the grille sitting out in front of the headlights. Looks like the front end is going to be more rounded than it ever has been before. Some LED accent above and below the main bulb. And the other really, really, really big news, which is very exciting for everybody, is the Hellcat engine.
Yes.
It is supposed to make its way into the Charger, which will make this the meanest sedan in America. I mean, nothing will hang with it.
Yeah, look out M5 because this thing's coming.
So I think that's actually the worst news about this entire thing.
What? Oh, never mind. I know why. Okay.
No, I don't know if you know why. It's not because there's too much power.
Okay.
It's because almost every single police car in the greater Knoxville area has been switched over to Challengers has been switched over to Chargers.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want them to be able to go faster, and I don't want them to have more power, because all that does is make my life more difficult if I'm
I don't think
being a
the
smart,
Hellcat
intelligent human
engine.
being.
I don't think the Hellcat engine will ever make the law enforcement spec. So I don't think you have to worry about that. They're going to keep the same 5.7.
Which is why they have Challengers that are police cars, and why they have Corvettes that are police cars, and why they have everything in the world. There are Vipers that are police cars. Just because they don't have a police spec doesn't mean there won't be a police version of it.
Yeah, but they're not used for anything except taking the schools and saying, "Hey kids, look how cool the cops are. We have a Viper."
Don't do drugs.
I'm just saying. You know, the one day I'm in another GTR and I'm trying to get somewhere quickly.
Hey, come on. It's just a challenge. Just a challenge.
But I mean, this is awesome news. I'm glad to see, number one, them changing up the front end a little bit, because that was getting pretty boring. So it's nice to see that, and the Hellcat engine. Oh, that's just going to be a badass sedan. I mean, As,
They
as
could,
boring as the Charger has become, this makes me excited for it again.
yeah, no, like I think the new visuals is going to be great. I think if they could keep it out of the hands of my law enforcement individuals in town, it'll be the greatest thing ever. Because yeah, like a sedan like that sounds awesome, you know, especially if they get close to that 700 horsepower number they were touting for the Challenger version of the Hellcat engine. Like a 700 horsepower sedan sounds great.
And could you imagine if they kept the all-wheel drive version of that too? 700 horsepower all-wheel drive Charger? Like, come on.
That
Come
would
on.
be just disgusting.
I'm gonna rally across America.
Well, talking about lookout GTR, man. Oh, wow, that's
would-
awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
And actually the Charger probably have a nicer interior than the GTR.
I would say it would.
Probably.
I do have to say though, from the teaser image that Dodge released, if there was no words surrounding that image and it was just like that, guess what car it is? You know, I'd
say the Avenger.
The Avenger or the Dart. Like
Yeah, I'd say like a new Dart.
I don't know what that says for that car. I mean, like,
I didn't think about that, but that's a huge point.
it just looks too dartish for me.
I did notice that, but I think once they zoom it out and we get a whole look at everything, I think it's going to have a completely different appearance.
I hope so.
I hope so too, because I did think the same thing. I'm like, ew, that looks like a Dart or the Avenger. Ugh. So hopefully, yes, this is just because it's so close in, you can't really get an idea what the entire picture looks like. So
Yeah.
my fingers crossed that that's all it is.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, let's move on to the weather, shall we? Because it's been really lovely weather for pretty much everyone in the country for the last couple of weeks.
Eagle rain.
Right. Well, it's been beautiful weather, and BMW has decided that they're going to let everyone who's enjoying this beautiful weather know that they have a brand new toy for them. That would be the M4 Convertible. I think Mark, you did the bid on this.
I did, and I tell you what, talk about cars you lust for. Just take the M3, the M3 or the M4 sedan or coupe, I guess. Chop the top off, and here you go. It's got all the same bits, the same engine, all the suspension. Everything's gonna be awesome on this car. Let's see, it's the 3-liter inline-6 twin turbocharged, kicking out 425 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. It's got the dual clutch. You're looking at 4.20 to 60 with 155 limited top speed. All of the goodie bits. Remember last week we talked about how the new M cars have the basically no bushings in the suspension or anything like that. It's going to be super tight. I mean, I can't say enough about this car. I'm just lost of words right now.
I'm just staring at the press photo and I'm like,
it's pretty beautiful. That the 3/4 rear view with the top up and all of those lines and everything with that really dark matte gray finish with the black wheels. I think that needs to be my new desktop photo.
No, that's pretty sweet, and it's actually nice to see them sort of doing this a little bit better. I still think it's a little ugly, and this has always been my problem with the hardtop convertible, like the M3, is they don't keep quite the same shape for the greenhouse as they do with the standard hardtop, so it loses a little bit of that seduction when the top is up. But they did a really good job with the M4 convertible on keeping that looking pretty good.
Yeah, I would say it looks darn good for a hardtop convertible too. And one thing I really appreciate is the rear window on this car is huge. So I think rearward visibility is going to be very nice, and that low rear deck lid. There's no wing or anything on it, so rearward visibility. Plus, you got those the little 3/4 windows right behind the doors. Those are massive as well. So
I like how they cut into the hood, like that that C pillar, and make that cut in there to give you a lot of extra visibility there when the top's up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that's great engineering too, and it's got that little BMW kick. You know, that kind of brings in the design element there as well. You know, it seems like they really did their homework on this car. The interior is beautiful as well, and of course it's spot on for the M4 Coupe. But it's just, it seems all together, all right. So
the only thing that concerns me with this are the actual handling characteristics. Are they going to be exactly the same as a coupe? Or are we going to lose a little bit of that stability because of the top?
Yeah, sure. I think the people who buy this car aren't going to be the ones that take it for the track day meets on the weekend. I see this as more of like a boulevard cruiser that can outrun pretty much everything else. Those folks who are looking for the BMW meets and everything like that, they're going to be buying the coupe.
Well, that, and I think the only thing that's going to be an issue for handling on this car is probably just going to be the extra weight from the top and the motors.
Yeah.
The new M4s, I mean, it's a really stiff car, and I think they're probably in the same boat as Corvette is. You know, Corvette has their new all aluminum frame and chassis and stuff for the standard Stingray, and so when they chopped the top off to make the convertible, they didn't actually have to stiffen it at all because that standard frame is so stiff that even when they cut the top off, the car is still fine and the car is still solid. So I think you're not going to get a lot of like callus shake. You're not going to feel a lot of twist out of this car. The biggest issue is going to be that weight.
Yeah. And I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think it's like roughly 500 pounds extra that they had to the convertible has added to the coupe's weight. So I mean, you know, with the top down, that weight is going to be a little bit lower in the chassis versus the top being up. So if you are going to run it hard, just put the top down.
Yeah.
As lame as that is.
Well, but I mean, you know what? 500 pounds is a lot of weight, but having a car with no top, having unlimited headroom, really makes a lot of problems go away.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's the thing, too. You know, we talk a lot about numbers here on the show and too, in our writing. But honestly, for me at least, like 90% of what makes a car is how it feels. Screw the numbers. How does it feel? What's it drive like? That's the biggest part for me.
Yeah, that's really one of the hardest things to really get across is explaining how it feels because you're thinking it, you're feeling it, you're touching it, but to tell people what you're experiencing is another animal altogether, and it's the most important part, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
That is probably the hardest part of our job. Like when I try to tell someone straight up, I'm like, honest to goodness, the Cayman S is a better car than a GTR. They're going to spout off, you know, 550 horsepower versus 340, and it's, you know, 200 mile an hour top speed versus 170 mile an hour top speed. And it's just like, no. Sit in it while it's moving, and all will become clear. It's just a better experience, the way it makes you feel on the inside, the way it feels to drive. It's just better.
Yeah. I would much rather drive a slower car that feels right than a fast car that just kind of lulls you into, you know, yawning, honestly.
There you
100%.
go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to another car that may be really exciting if it actually shows up. I'm still a little worried about it. We're going to go back to Mitsubishi for this. Justin, you've got a bit for us on a spiritual successor to the 3000 GT, which is a car I love.
I am a Mitsubishi guy today. We all got the sad news that the Evo was going away. Not surprising. It's very low sales over here in the U.S., very low sales global. Mitsubishi is kind of going more towards the economic side these days. And like you said before, their budget is very, very, very thin. But a new rumor popped up, or more of a report than a rumor, that Mitsubishi is planning on but having a successor to the 3000 GT, except in a hybrid form. I am a 3000 GT lover. I also love the Stealth. They're pretty much the exact same car, different badges. Particularly the VR4 version that was just absolutely insanity. That was one of the best GT cars of the 90s, I think. You know, stone me if you must, but I think it was one of the best GT cars of the 90s. And to see them thinking about bringing this back really makes me wonder what exactly the plan is. Is it going to be 3000 GT, or is it going to be something else that just kind of has some of the styling cues, the cool little dual headlight front and the larger, wider body like the 3000 had? Or are they going to just bring a 3000 GT and make us all happy? That's up for debate right now. But they're at least getting our excitement up, and the future is looking very bright for the resurrection of 1990s sports cars. We have talks of the Supra and now the 3000 GT, all kind of good stuff coming.
If they, I don't care if it's a hybrid, if I can get affordable, good looking, with all-wheel drive, with the cool four-wheel steering that the VR4 had of the 3000 GT, like that would just be the coolest thing in the world.
Oh, and I drove, I think, 3 of those in my life. And I can honestly say those are 3 of the best cars I've driven. Not ultimately the best, but 3 of the best. Just the handling, the comfort, believe it or not, for how sporty and aggressive they were actually fairly comfortable. In the all-wheel drive version, they were decent in the snow and ice. So if you live up north, you're not compromising snow and ice driving. It's just a great all-around vehicle and decently roomy for the kind of car it was.
Yeah, and I think if Mitsubishi really wants to succeed in this market, I think something sporty like this would be a very good way to do it versus the, like we talked about earlier, the Outlander or even the Evo not really selling well. I think, maybe they've got a chance with this car, so hopefully they build it. Hopefully they do well with it.
Well, I think the big issue for them is going to be price. Like hands down, as far as I'm concerned, that's the reason the Lancer or the Evo doesn't sell that well. It's so expensive. Like if you want to get a really nice one with like lots of kit on it, it's like closing in on $50,000, whereas like the STI is like 35.
Yeah,
that's one of the problems that Mitsubishi has had for a while, is that they don't do enough volume to be able to let these Halo cars be very small profit or even loss leaders. Some of these Halo cars actually lose money because it gets brand name out there, so they're willing to take a small hit to get the brand recognition out there to do it, whereas Mitsubishi needs to make money on the Evo, so they have to crank up the price.
Right. I mean, it's sad, but it's just like a true fact of the matter. I think if they went with a really fancy hybrid system, they could probably go for the $50,000-$60,000 market on this. Maybe having the brand name of Mitsubishi on a $50,000 or $60,000 car that's a new car might be a little iffy. But
it's kind of like Kia 10 years ago, honestly.
Right, yeah. But otherwise, I think if they're going to bring something like this back to the market, they need to shoot for like a 35 to 40 grand price tag, and like
I would say
be the top end of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to my favorite part of the show, Q&A. Thank you again to everyone who's tuning in and listening and now watching and sending us questions. They get better and better every week, so we've got some really awesome ones this time. I'm going to go ahead and say now, to save a little bit on time, some of the questions are top 3 items or whatever. Instead of all of us picking 3, because we don't want to have a 4.5-hour long show, we're all just going to pick 1, and so we will be the top 3. So just a heads up there, we've got 2 questions like that. So the first one we're going to go is from Carl Knox, and he actually commented on the video post, so awesome, thank you.
Whoa.
What? Oh, woo woo.
That was me going woo woo.
I thought you said whoa, and I'm like, whoa, did something break? Why are we whoaing? Don't whoa. It's like, oops, you don't say oops.
So you're saying he saw our faces and he survived the task?
Well, he commented on the video post. I don't know if he watched the video. All right. He wants to know, what are our top 3 most idiotic car names that we have ever heard of? So again, this is from Carl Knox. I'm going to go first, and mine's sort of funny, and it really only works here in the States mostly. But I'm going to go with Fiat Punto, simply because it's a tiny car with the word punt in the name, and it's like, when I see a small car, I do kind of just like, I wonder if I could just go over and just punt it across the road. And so I think that's a really silly name, and it makes me laugh.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
And actually, that kind of makes me think about, like, they have the rash of people who are tipping smart cars in San Francisco or whatever. It's like that same kind of thing. Like, you would just have tons of Fiat Puntos all over the road that have just been kicked.
When I read that report about the smart cars, I started laughing because I knew a guy in college that bought one, and we gave him just unlimited wrath for that. But I kind of want to go up to one and tip it over to see what it looks like on its end in person.
So not to tout other websites on the show, because that's terrible, and you guys should not read any other websites. You should only read ours. But
yes.
Whose website did you read that on?
I really can't remember. I think it was like CNN or something like that.
Oh, okay. Because I read a post by one of my former bosses named Alex Nunez. He's one of the heads over at Road and Track now. His thing was about how terrible it was that this was happening, because not only did you actually buy a smart car, but apparently the act of having to own and drive one of these is not bad enough on your life, that you've been so bad, karma is actually having people come and vandalize your terrible car now. And that was like the whole premise of his piece. And he talks about the terrible, hilarious local news. But he's like, I feel so bad for these people, because not only were they stupid enough to buy a smart car that they now have to live with, they have to wake up and find it vandalized. That's like the worst of the worst of the worst.
But these people are just going to go over to their car and like push it over and like drive it to work.
Yeah,
they probably won't even check the oil level to make sure it's still there.
Well, I mean, what else are you going to do? You got to go to work.
Oh man, pour a half a quart of synthetic oil in there and just go to town.
There you go. All right, Justin, do you have a choice for worst car name ever?
I debated on two. I have two ones that I just love. I'll go with the one that's a little more obvious, the Nissan Murano. I'm sorry. What idiot wrote that on a piece of paper, pronounced it, and then said, yeah, let's name a car that. Not only is it one of the goofiest SUVs still in existence, goofiest looking SUVs still in existence, but it also has just...
Uh-oh, I think we lost Justin.
Nissan must be cutting in on this.
That's what it is. Nissan has come in and they're shutting things down.
I was going to say
the internet.
The Juke was worse, but whatever.
I don't know. Like, the Murano's kind of a funny name, but like the European version, essentially, of that car, the Qashqai or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think that's a way worse name than Murano. Like,
yeah.
What is it they called on Top Gear? The Nissan Kumquat.
I think they were trying to go for like, or no, that's Milan, or isn't there a town in Italy like Murano, Italy, or something like that? Or am I thinking Milan?
I don't know about Murano, Italy.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, I know Milan's a town.
Yeah.
And there are Milano cookies.
I was thinking the cookies. Yeah.
Now I want some cookies.
Now I want cookies. I do have some cookies in the kitchen. So I guess while we're filling time between Justin coming back, I would put my name out there, and you're probably going to hate me for this, but I'm going to have to say the Ferrari LaFerrari.
It's a really terrible name.
I feel like they had so much potential with that car, and then just to like, what are we going to call it? Quick, you got 30 seconds. The LaFerrari, and there it is, Well,
was it even that? Someone goes, what did they call it? And you go, what did you call what? You go, the new car, and you go, the Ferrari? And they go, oh, so it's the Ferrari. That's okay.
And it just kept running. Yeah, that sounds right. But I feel like, I've seen the procedure happen of like naming a car, and they sit around a boardroom with all these pieces of paper written down. And it's like, what are we going to call this? And I feel like that process was kind of skipped with this car.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, hey, I think Justin has joined us. Hi, Justin. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. My internet completely crapped out on me. I don't know what happened. I was talking to myself there.
Well, we already figured it out. Nissan has internet ninjas, and Nissan got really angry that you were bashing one of their best-selling SUVs. So they had the internet ninjas cut your internet.
Yeah, and then we talked about cookies.
Okay.
And
I missed the fun part.
Then we also talked about how you were wrong.
Okay, excellent.
You picked the wrong Nissan SUV, because the mid-size SUV thing that they sell in Europe is called the Qashqai. I would think that's the worse name than Murano.
Well, I have one other. It's the Mitsubishi Pajermo. If you know what Pajermo means, then you'll find it rather hilarious.
Okay, wait a minute. If I Google what Pajermo means...
Yeah, if you Google what it actually means, you'll find out.
All right, this is exciting podcast entertainment.
Why it's only sold in Japan now, or Asia markets, I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Is this like the Chevy Nova in the Hispanic markets?
In that way, except a lot more obscene.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I'm a little worried now, to be honest. How do you spell Pajermo?
Pagermo.
Okay. I
I've
said
got
it's
that.
Albanian,
Mm-hmm.
and it would not translate it into English for me.
Okay. I'm sorry, Pajero, not Pagermo. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Pajero.
Yep, there it is.
Oh. Okay.
I found it. UrbanDictionary.com. I will not repeat it, but it is quite hilarious.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I know everyone's excited to kind of know what this is, but if we have to go to Urban Dictionary, the answer is we probably just can't say it on the podcast. So that's your terrible homework that you should not do, especially if you're underneath the age of 47.
I think that's a little even more weird. I don't know.
Oh, just...
Who named the car that?
I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah, that's the key reason why it is now only sold in the Asian markets under the Pajero name.
Oh.
we can't do this to people. So I'm gonna
Okay.
try and find a way
The
to. Well, let me see if I can think of a better way to do this. If you've ever been to a zoo and you've spent a lot of time looking at the chimps or the baboons, they do this a lot. And that's kind of what Pajero has to do with. Do you guys think that covers it?
Kind of, yeah.
I think even more hilarious than that is on my Google search query under Urban Dictionary is another Mitsubishi link saying Pajero long wheelbase edition.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Anyway.
We need to move on. Justin, you missed it, but Mark's choice for terrible car name is Ferrari LaFerrari.
Oh, that's it, of course. That's definitely one of the worst.
Yeah. So that's one of those. Yeah, we had our whole talk about it. We're sorry you weren't here. Maybe if you didn't make Nissan's Internet Ninjas mad. Ooh, a fun new task for all the readers. Hey guys, I want you to give me some more Photoshop work. I want pictures of ninjas with Nissan logos. Thank you.
Hacking away at our internet.
There you go. All right, so let's go on to the next question. We had a wonderful viewer, Chris Live. His question for us is, if we could have godlike powers and be capable of erasing a certain car from history, traffic, or the universe, what car would it be?
Ooh.
I'm going to let you guys go first.
I am going to have to go ahead and take the Mustang 2.
Oh, that's good.
That thing, a Pinto with a different name, I don't think so. And when they attempted to put a V8 in it, it was just a tragedy. One of the worst V8s ever built.
Okay.
That's a pretty respectable answer, I think.
Yeah, that's a solid choice.
Okay, so I guess my choice, and GM would be very happy with me right now if I made this public. I think anything to do with a Cavalier or a Sunfire or Sunbird or those really crappy Cavalier-ish cars from like the early 2000s, they need to fall into the sun.
Now, to spin off on yours there, Mark, I would also vote for the Cadillac Cimarron.
That's actually my choice.
Ah.
I'm going to take the Cadillac Cimarron. And this is actually really fun because I was expecting a lot of terrible answers that I was going to have to laugh at you guys about and tell you that you were wrong. And I think probably as soon as a lot of listeners heard the question, they're all thinking, oh, it's got to be the Prius, or oh, it's got to be this. But no, I'm happy the Prius exists because of the Prius and its success. That's one of the reasons we have things like the new LaFerrari and the new P1 and the Porsche 918 is Toyota pushing this hybrid technology. So I'm glad we all picked cars that were just utterly terrible and not sad because we want them to go away.
Yeah, I mean, my choice, a lot of them were powered by the old 2.2 inline 4, and I had a Chevy S10 back in the day with that engine. I like it, but man, was it slow and doggish. I mean, wow. But that thing had some low-end torque, though. But anyway, those cars were just terrible. The interiors, like, you could buy them brand new and like there were cracks in the dash.
I remember the gear shifter had like the push brush bristles around it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like
Horrible.
I wouldn't have paid $20 for this car. Like,
I think if they were to ever have a Hall of Fame for things that should go fast but never actually did ever, that 2.2 would be like the king of the crop there.
Yeah, but I can still pick out a car with that 2.2 liter in it because it has that growl. My mail truck has that engine in it. I'm telling you. Every time I can hear the mail truck come to my house because it.
You should just stop it and go out there. I'd be like, I have to look.
Yeah. 2.2 GM engine. Yep, that's it. Oh my gosh.
In case you guys can't tell, we're actually really boring people.
Yeah.
This is what our life consists of.
I know. And it's like, this is conversations like this I actually have on a normal basis. That's my life. And you people are like, man, I wish I had their job.
Nah, not really.
All right.
We think about the mail truck.
Yeah. So let's go to our next question here. We have Sammy833. He says, I just saw that a journalist from Evo Magazine UK got a job at McLaren, and he wanted to know if any of us would ever consider quitting this type of work for any other job, especially one that would not involve cars. And this is sort of a little interesting. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. In a couple weeks, Justin is going to be on vacation, so we're bringing a guest in to be on the podcast. And he is actually someone who used to be a writer just like us, and then he now works with a PR company. So that'll be kind of cool, and we'll get a little bit into this more then. But let's stick with the whole job that would not involve cars. Mark, is there a job you could think of that you'd take?
Yeah, if it had about 6 figures in the salary, some nice benefits, that way I could buy some of the cars that we're talking about. Sure, I'll take it. Anybody offering?
Tickets.
Yeah. And then suddenly tomorrow, Mark was fired and nobody knows why. Is there like a specific job that like you would want to get into?
You know, not really, man. I've always wanted to do the whole automotive journalism thing just because I'm so into cars, but you know, I enjoy the work, I enjoy the writing, I enjoy seeing the new stuff and keeping up with the whole industry of it. It would take a lot to get me out of it, I think. It really would. But 6 figures in benefits would be pretty up there.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie on that one.
Yeah. That's a lot of scratch.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, your turn.
It's really hard for me to say because the only one I could think of would be getting back.
Wait. Please don't say Chippendale Dancer.
Well, all right, fine then. I won't. No, the only thing that I could really think of would be for me to get back into radio, which I did just before I moved into the automotive field for the second time. But doing the podcast now, that satisfaction is filled. So I can't think of another job I'd rather do. I'm talking about the stuff that I love, writing about the things that I love. Get to see all the news before anybody else gets to see it. So no, I can't really think of anything else unless they're offering me, like Mark said, 6 figures, a nice benefit package, and maybe a McLaren P1 to drive around, and I'd be happy.
Yeah. Company BMW or something like that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad of a gig. I'm slightly in the same boat that Justin's in, whereas if I was to give this job up for another job that wasn't automotive based, I actually already have that job. As you may have noticed in my How to Do a Video podcast post, I'm kind of a big gadget nerd. I like computers, I like video games, I like gadgets and audio gear and like all this stuff. And I work for another website just on the side to do gadget stuff just because I enjoy it. So writing about video games, writing about gadgets, if I couldn't write about cars, that's what I would love to do, especially like high-end audio gear. I love me some nice speakers. I like nice headphones. I've got nice headphones on now, and you can't see any of it, but I've got about $1,000 worth of headphones laying around the house at the moment. So I like my sound stuff.
Quite the opposite for me. These are like $15 ones from Walmart.
Yeah, I got these for like $20 at Ross.
Yeah, no, these ones. Which ones am I wearing? These ones that I had to look. The ones that I've got on now are like when they came out, I think were like $230. But they're out of production now. They don't make these anymore. So
Probably
yeah.
because they cost $230.
No, they just were replaced with a different model that folds up. Mine just decided to sit there.
Ah,
The other ones, the ear cups will fold in, so they're smaller and easier to carry around.
very
But-
interesting.
Yeah, so there you go. If it's car-based, just because I want to touch on that, if it was a car-based job I could leave this for, like Ferrari test driver sounds like a nice little title to have at the end of my name.
Yeah, that
Oh, yeah.
that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, there's about 50 car jobs I could think of.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our next question. We have Thomas Beretta. He wants to say, really enjoyed the show, which we really appreciate that. We like that
Thank
feedback.
you, sir. Thank you.
But he wants to know if we have any interesting story from when we were driving, filming, or reviewing a press car. Anybody have anything really interesting to say?
I can't think of any really crazy stories. Everything's been pretty normal for me.
Well, Christian, you're gonna remember this. You remember the time that I jumped a press car?
Okay, yeah, there was that.
I did.
That
Not
was
too terribly bad, and no one ever. I didn't. I didn't really do it, of course. But I may or may not have found the limit to the suspension drop in a press car
it was
at one time.
an
An unnamed brand on some unnamed occasion.
just going a little fast and the road dipped and it happens.
I wasn't expecting it.
You weren't doing it on purpose, and that's what makes it okay.
So you didn't go over the dip, go, ooh, that would be fun, turn around and come back over the dip at, say, 105?
No, it was, wow, this is woo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you giggle and say oops and you go on with your life.
Yep.
My thing would probably be this last trip I did in the GTR around Christmas. So Nissan was kind enough. There wasn't a GTR anywhere near me for me to do this trip, and it was for Nissan's big birthday celebration. They celebrated a big milestone this last Christmas. They actually celebrated on the 26th. But so we're gonna do this project, and I was involved with it. But I got sick right before I flew to Miami to pick up the car, like really really sick with the flu sick. And I picked up the car anyways, and I'm going to do this story. I'm going to do this trip. It's this big deal. I don't want to let anyone down. And I'm trying to drive home. And I get just maybe an hour outside of Miami, and I spike a massive fever. And suddenly I can't really see straight, and my arms aren't working, and I kind of almost punted it into a wall.
Ouch.
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
Nope, I didn't hit anyone or anything, and I managed to get off the highway. And by the way, I love the Florida toll road, the big one that runs through the middle, whatever it is. But when it costs me $12 to get off the toll road when I'm about to vomit on somebody, that's a bunch of horse crap.
Why did it cost you
throwing that out
$12 to
there.
get off the toll road?
I don't know. I got in Miami, and I got off, whatever, and they were like, yeah, it's $12.08, or $12.85, whatever. I'm like, I have a $10 bill, and I'm going to throw up on you. It's like, here's this ticket you have to go online and pay. Now go. I was like, really? Because it's only like
I think I would have just vomited.
right. Well, it's only like $25 to go like the whole length of the thing from above Orlando all the way down to Miami, and it was like $12 to get off. I'm like, what the heck, guys? So that's highway robbery. But
Literally.
yeah, I did almost punt the GTR into a wall. Like, I mean, the fever just came on super fast. So that was rough. But that's really the only crazy thing I've really got.
Yeah, so none of us are like any Top Gear. Like we flipped a car 5 times on its way to
Yeah.
blowing up.
I mean, I've heard those stories. I've just not been a part of any of those.
Yeah, I've heard some pretty fun stories, like a journalist whose son put the Porsche 911 into his garage door and things like that.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For any automakers listening right now, we are very kind to our press cars and we love them. We wax them constantly and we baby them.
I don't wax them constantly, but I do
No,
make sure
I
they're clean
do.
and taken care of.
I do that for mine. I don't know about you.
Waxing is too expensive, and I have a job to do. Some of us have real lives and have to make money, Mark. We can't just sit around and wax cars all day.
Gosh, it's part of my job, guys. Come on.
I'm just doing my job.
Okay, I'm going to make a note of that. I'm going to send my car Mark's direction every time he washed.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Sure. Double the press cars. I'll take that.
All right, so we're gonna move on now. So Thomas, I'm sorry that we're not more interesting people, but maybe in a week or two we'll cover some of the more interesting other stories we've heard. So we're gonna do one from Timmer. Is the guy who asked this question. He says, I have a question for you guys. Thanks. If someone gave you a V12 from a Ferrari F12, what would you do with it? I, for one, would probably like to put it in some sort of van like an old VW Transporter just because he thinks it would make an outrageous car. And again, this is specifically about the new F12 Berlinetta. And I don't think it'll fit, but man, I'd love to put that engine inside of my Porsche.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Be a nice home for it.
I mean, they do like the LS conversion, so LS V8s, the Corvette V8 inside of those Porsches is a very, very common thing. There's an entire company that just makes like conversion kits to have it done for a couple $100. So those seem pretty fun. I think just upping the cylinder count from 8 to 12 and putting Ferrari on the front of it makes it a little bit better.
That sounds pretty cool. I think we could do that.
And then when I open the hood, people see Ferrari instead of Chevy.
Or Porsche.
Right. What about either of you guys? You got anything fun you want to put that in?
I would probably find some small hatchback, something Geo Metro-ish, and find a way to retrofit that into the back end of it. I've seen it done.
Just do like a mid-engine?
Yeah, I've seen V12 stuck in the back end of hatchbacks, and I know it can be done. So I'd have to give that one valiant effort.
Well, I mean, Volkswagen, cool. Yeah, well, Volkswagen did that mid-engined V10 Golf once, so I mean, yeah, that would be, yeah, that's pretty sweet, actually. Good job.
That's a pretty good deal. Yeah.
All right, Mark, your turn.
Oh man, dude, I don't even know. Just, I like the idea of something small and something really crappy to make a perfect sleeper, and just, you know, red light stomp some people.
Dude,
then again,
Buick,
like I kind of want
to Buick Roadmaster wagon.
There you go. Perfect.
I was gonna say Plymouth Grand Fury, but okay.
Just take the GM 350 out of that, put it in the V12. I'm sure it'll fit because that is a massive engine bay. I mean, that thing could store like 4 of those 350s in there. But anyway, just put it in there, and yeah, you'd have to get some better tires on the back, maybe a Detroit locker, but yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
With the wood paneling down the sides.
Yes, don't touch the outside. Patinted paint, everything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm just imagining, like, if everyone could just let me tune out for 5 to 12 minutes and just let me think about having a Roadmaster wagon in the driveway, chipped paint, wood paneling, and a Ferrari V12.
There's no Pajero here. Come on.
I'm so sorry to everyone that Justin has done this to us. Okay.
Anyway.
Let's move to our last question from Spaceballs27, which is a great name for a great movie. Thank you, Spaceballs27. He would like to ask, what are the top 3 cars we would want to see imported into the U.S. that are not currently available?
Ooh, I know one.
I know what I got.
Okay, Mark, go.
All right, I would do the Volkswagen R-Mark, or however you pronounce it. The truck.
It's Amrock.
I don't know. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, when that truck first came out like 5 years ago, I had like drooled over it every day. I'm like, why are they not bringing it here? It's so perfect, and I think it would sell like crazy. I really do, especially now that the new truck market is coming to the midsize. Why not? Come on, Volkswagen, do it. You won't be disappointed.
There's an opening in the market, and they want to be the world's biggest car maker. So I think it's about time.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to stick with the Volkswagen love here, and I'm going to say the Scirocco, however you pronounce that one.
Oh, Scirocco, yeah.
Yeah, that is a car that I miss from the 1980s. Like I said before, it's almost my first car, but I picked the IROC instead.
Good choice, my friend.
He tops them all the way, buddy.
America.
But, I mean, there's something about that car. It's so sleek and sexy, and the hatch is just perfectly designed with a little swoop to it. And they have the top line model with, what is it, like 280 horsepower or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, they've got an R model of it. Like, It's a Golf R that looks super sexy. That's a great choice. So apparently everything that we want is owned by the Volkswagen Group. Because I would love to see an RS6 Avant.
Good pick.
That's pretty sweet.
Big twin turbo V8 Audi wagon, all-wheel drive quattro system, in red. Yes, please, red. That's one of my all-time favorite cars. Is anything with the word RS and Avant in it that Audi makes. I want all of. I want an RS4 Avant. I want an RS6 Avant. I want all of it. They could make an RS15 Avant that's 19 miles long. I don't care. I want one.
So Volkswagen got some love today.
Yeah, there's a lot of VW love in this show.
We need to send a link to this to Volkswagen.
There we go. And maybe they'll bring the Golf R wagon to the U.S. because of us. So remember, people, when the Golf R wagon shows up, it's because of us. You owe us.
We did it.
We did this. All right. Let's move on to our fantastic new segment, Own, Drive, and Burn. And boys and girls listening, this is the last one that I have thought of in my head beforehand. So if you guys have any suggestions for what we should do for Own, Drive, Burn, send those things in. Make my life a little bit easier, and then you get to hear exactly what you guys want. But this week's show, we're going to go back to the nice weather. We're going to do some convertibles. Our choices are the BMW Z4, Mercedes-Benz SLK, or a Porsche Boxster.
Are we talking new, used, what year?
Yep, these are all brand new.
Brand new,
We're
okay.
shooting for they're all $50,000. So, brand new Boxster, brand new Z4, or a brand new SLK. Justin, go.
Oh, that's a tough one for me. Well, the Boxster would be one I'd want to own, purely because I want to own a Porsche. I have some love for Porsche. Always want to own one. Never had the opportunity to own one. So I want that all the way. Now we're between the Z4 and the SLK, which is ironically the two cars my dad is picking between to buy. Lucky. But, well, I'd have to say I'll take the Z4 to drive, and I will burn the SLK.
Okay.
And that's only because the SLK is like 39 horsepower less than the base Z4. That's about the only reasoning I could put behind it.
Okay. Mark, your turn.
Yeah, Justin stole my thunder. That's exactly my lineup as well. I would own the Porsche. I would drive the Z4 and the Mercedes. Okay, for all the glory that is the Mercedes SLK, it just seems so uninspired to me. It doesn't really have that sportiness to it. I see it more as like a boulevard cruiser than anything else. But the other two, they're a whole lot, more, I don't know, sporty. That's the only way I can think of it. And the Porsche, of course, is the better of the two. So that's my choice.
All right. So everyone loves Porsche. More VW love. Hey, I would also own a Boxster, but I would actually burn the BMW and I would drive the SLK. Mostly because I've spent lots of time in lots of BMWs and I've spent rarely any time in Mercedes. And from everything that I know about the automotive world, for the most part, Mercedes actually makes a better car than BMW in almost every way, but you usually have to pay more for it too. So it's like, a 20% price increase for a 3% better quality, or whatever. But I want to test that theory a little bit. Like I said, I've spent a lot of time in a lot of Beamers. And I just think to be a little bit different, I would like to spend some time in an SLK.
That's fair enough.
A little bit of Mercedes love. Yeah. So there we go. Show's just about finished. I've got one little extra thing to go over, and this is mostly for the video viewers as an extra special thank you to you guys. Last week's show, we did the video. I did the little how-to podcast, and a couple people noticed I got up here in the corner, I've got a nice little photo of an Aston Martin DB5. Well, I actually happen to have a second one of those. Ooh. And I have nowhere to put it. It's just taking up room in my house. So I'm going to be mailing it to somebody. Somebody who's listening and watching. I also have a calendar by the same guy who took that photo, and there's lots of cool stuff on here. I don't know if you guys can see it. But there's Porsches and Ferraris and Aston Martins and Lamborghinis, and it's tons of cool stuff. The guy's named Jeremy Cliff. He's a great guy. He sent me a calendar. I've already got 3 calendars in the house. He sent me 2 of these photos, so I only need 1 of them. And mostly I just want to get rid of it. So to say thank you to you guys to listening and watching, I'm going to be giving them away to you. This isn't like an official contest. There's no legal crap. Basically, I'm just going to find somebody who does what I ask them to in a second, and then I'm just going to mail it to them. Your job is to follow the TopSpeed.com podcast Twitter account. It's at TopSpeed Podcast, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel for the TopSpeed YouTube video. If you do those 2 things, I will follow you back on Twitter with the podcast, and if you get picked, I can get your address that way, and I will mail you a poster, and I will pick someone else, and I will mail them the calendar. So this is just my way of saying thank you to you guys, and also getting rid of extra stuff I don't have room for in my house. So yeah, that's all you have to do. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. If you want some extra entries, there's the 3 of us. If you follow us, for each one of us you follow, I'll give you an extra entry into the little giveaway thing. So again, at Twitter, it is at TopSpeed Podcast. I am at Moford. That's Moeferd. Mark is at Mark McNabb, and Justin is at the Car Junkie. So if you guys want an awesome calendar full of cool stuff, it is a 2014 calendar, and it's a 13 months, so it goes all the way till next January. Or this sweet Aston Martin photo. That's how. Just, hang out with us. Let us know that you enjoy watching and listening, and I'll mail out some cool swag. So hope you guys enjoyed that.
Are both of those going to one person, or are they?
No. I'm going to pick 2 people. I'm going to pick 2 people.
Even better.
Yeah. So there you go. One person will get a photo. One person will get a calendar. Yeah. I hope everyone enjoys that. I want to say thank you to everyone for listening. Again, please keep commenting, letting us know your questions, all that sort of stuff. We love hearing it. If you have any feedback on the podcast, we're doing good, we're doing bad, we're doing whatever you think someone needs to have green hair. I don't care, whatever it is, let us know. The best ways to get a hold of us, again, there are the comments on the post, which you guys have been using a lot of, and we appreciate that. There is email, podcast@TopSpeed.com. And again, the Twitter account. And now that we have video, you guys can also comment on the YouTube video. So we want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's listening. Thank you for keeping us going. 6 episodes and still running. Hopefully someday it'll be 600. And we want to say happy Thursday to everyone. And thank you for listening. So goodbye, everybody. You guys want to wave and say bye?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I like that we have video now and I can wave at people. Bye. Thank you, guys.